So we just want to be happy. Everything that we do is this urge to be happy, we have a normal, healthy human desire for happiness. And every thought, word or deed expresses that desire. Even our destructive patterns, even our habitual tendencies, our misguided, counterproductive attempts to be happy. So how do we become happy? Psychologists make this distinction between pleasure and gratification, and with pleasures we habituate towards them quite easily. I'm thinking about like the first lick of an ice cream being the best. But whereas gratification involves exercising more of us, it involves developing something, even overcoming challenges. So this would include things like learning the piano or learning a sport. And when something gratifies us, it absorbs us and it involves more of us. And it's this absorption in life which creates a basis for happiness, and towards which mindfulness practice is really directed. And it's directed in this way for our well-being, but also importantly for the well-being of other people and other beings. So if we can't help ourselves or others because we're in the kind of anxious, stressed out, negative mental states, or these kind of self-obsessed, kind of quite tight, constricted states, and we start unthinkingly act out of those states, well, we'll cause trouble for ourselves and we'll cause trouble for other people. So mindfulness, what is it? There's a lot written and said about mindfulness. You've got mindfulness for golf, you've got mindfulness for depression, mindfulness for business. Well, mindfulness is synonymous with awareness. We're always mindful of something. It's always awareness of something. It's not an abstract quality which exists separately from whatever it's being directed towards. So mindfulness is really anything which is happening right now, happening in our body, which includes all our senses, our touch, our taste and so on. It's our speech, what we're saying, it's our minds, what we're thinking, our memories, planning and so on. And it's not an alienated aloofness from life, but rather more like this absorption that I've been talking about, in which the sense of myself as something separate, separate from whatever's happening within and without is kind of diminished. So we're getting closer to life, but we're also not being so identified and caught up in it. And by getting lost or caught up in it, what I'm talking about is these repetitive thought patterns which are constantly judging, categorizing and wishing things to be other than they are. And as I said, it's these thought patterns which are attempts to find out why we're not happy. And it's these thought patterns which are actually kind of alienating us from our direct experience and even getting in the way of this authentic happiness. So an example of this is that I live in a Buddhist community. It's generally a very positive, open place to live. But like everyone, I get caught up in rumination sometimes, in this kind of obsessive thinking. And it could be over something as simple as the dishwasher. So emptying the dishwasher could be kind of this source of irritation, and I could start to get into this idea, it's always me that's doing this and I'm doing it more than other people. And if I don't catch on to that, if I don't catch on to what's going on, that can build into resentment. And then that resentment, if I start to act out of that resentment, can cause me trouble, cause other people trouble. So we need to kind of get clear the story that's kind of playing, and then if we can get clear about that, then we start to have a choice. I can choose to let it go, or I could say something about bringing more attention to emptying the dishwasher. And it's quite a banal example, isn't it? But it's one which kind of comprises the grit, some of the grit of everyday life. So mindfulness, nothing is left out. In a way, mindfulness is turning towards whatever is happening, whether that be pleasant or whether that be unpleasant. And it's doing that rather than trying to kind of block it out or distract ourselves from it or kind of wish it away. So developing mindfulness gives us the confidence to engage with whatever is going on, and therefore make more creative decisions about how we want to respond in the moment. So how do I know if I'm being mindful? Well, in any given situation, whether we're meditating or whether we're just going about our everyday daily life, mindfulness is typified by three qualities in our experience. Mindfulness of sensation, which includes all the senses. The senses, interesting in Buddhism, include thinking, memories and planning as a kind of sixth sense. And mindfulness of purpose is the other aspect, another aspect of our experience. Why are we doing something? What's the kind of underlying desire which we're trying to express? And the third is the mindfulness of the ethical quality of what we're doing. And this is kind of a basic sensitivity to whether it's what we're doing is going to be doing, thinking, saying is going to be harmful to ourselves, or whether is it going to be beneficial to ourselves and others. So it sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But actually, as we practice mindfulness, we see that they're all facets of awareness. They're all aspects of the same thing, although of course awareness is not a thing. So meditation is an effective way of developing mindfulness. With less distraction from the senses, we can start to notice more clearly what's going on in our minds and in our hearts. And developing mindfulness is not just a coping mechanism. This awareness of our hearts and minds really leads us to more clarity of how we're relating to ourselves and other people, and even clarity and awareness of reality itself. And in this way, it can allow more authentic kind of happiness to arise.